pronation is, my understanding, is the rotating of the forearm that way. If you had your arm straight out, that would be pronating, and I think they call this part up here internal rotation. I could be wrong. Anyway, I used to have a lot of trouble with understanding pronation because my thought was, if you're pronating in the long axis of the racket, when I say long axis of the racket, I mean long axis of the racket is being in the same line as your whole arm. If you pronate, well, okay, the center of the racket is actually not moving. So why would that make any difference in what happens with the tennis ball? But in watching Jim McLennan and I think Pat Daugherty, I came to understand that when you're pronating, it's not in the same axis. The axis of the racket is something like that, and the axis of the arm is here. So when you pronate, you're actually getting quite a bit of movement of the racket head in maybe a forward direction. You got your racket there, maybe even there, if you kind of really unpronate. Supinate. Supinating would have your racket, the strings that are going to hit the ball, actually facing almost to your back. From there going up here, you have a really serious hit going here. Although when it gets up there, it's probably closer to being in line with the same long axis of the racket and the long axis of the arm being the same. But it's still not. Way over here. I guess some people do that, and then you got the people who give it this, and then there's the guy who I just videotaped and sent to you, who he actually does get to here, gets up to here, pronates to there, and then comes on down this way. I have no idea whether that would have any deleterious effect on his serve trajectory or hit or anything other than looks like it would hurt his wrist to stop the pronation. Everybody else seems to do that except me, because I have this wrist issue where I have to wear a metal plate on the back of my wrist. I cannot flex and extend with my right wrist hardly at all. I've learned to hit excessive spin and sometimes don't pronate at all, and I think most of the time only pronate a little bit. So I was talking about Turville was watching me serve and said, well, you're not actually pronating at all. And what he saw was, I think, was this. Turn and all my movement is this way. And sometimes even that way when I'm trying to hit. I hope that shows up on the camera. That, basically, none of that. If you're swinging that way, I don't think there's any real value in pronating when you're going to get the ball over there. But the bottom line is, I think about pronating, you're giving yourself some hit. But when you think of the spin that's on the ball, when I'm serving the ball, I thought, especially if I'm hitting a kick serve, say the ad court, I'm thinking of actually going almost straight up the left side of the ball. That way. Sometimes up the back. Actually, you can also make this kick serve kick to the left instead of the right. Sometimes I'll go up the right side of the ball. But still, I don't see where there's any pronating going on that would help with any spin. Take the camera back and actually hit some serves and see if I'm doing what I think I'm doing. But occasionally, once I learned from McLennan that you're actually not in the same long axis with the racket and the arm, and that you actually go this way. I've tried hitting a few serves where I thought of just whapping that way, and I think I still, because because it comes natural to me to try to spin the ball. Like I was still getting some spin, but I was actually getting a significantly more pace when I tried to pronate. I definitely got a lower trajectory and less spin, but I got a lot more hit and a little more offense, say, maybe in pace on the serve. My game is totally doubles, and it's totally getting to the net behind my serve, so I'm not all that big on getting the ball there too soon because it doesn't give me as much time to get to the net. Plus, I'm not looking for weak returns from my opponents so much, at least because of my serve, or at least certainly not from the pace of my serve, because I've done a lot of practicing just working on learning to hit low volleys and half volleys and getting them into a spot to at least not get me in too much trouble until I can work on it and then rely on my hands and some volleys. The wind's probably coming up pretty good there. So, all right, let me stop here and see about hitting some serves and see if I can show you anything that way.